So, welcome to the Discover Dowsing teleconference call sponsored by the American Society of Dowsers. Every third Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Pacific, we interview an expert dowser on their specialty and then open the lines for the audience to ask questions. The call is recorded and posted in the members-only section of the website www.dowsers.org. It's usually done the following day. Also on the members-only section are recordings of many other informative teleconferences, which is a very good reason to join ASD if you haven't done so already. So you can go on and look through the archives of probably 100 different calls of various kinds. If you have any questions of our speaker, we asked that you hold all questions until the end. So I have muted you all, hopefully, and at the very end, you'll have the opportunity to start speaking. So today is March 19th, 2019, and I'm Roxanne Louise, your moderator. I'm living in Central Virginia, and our featured dowser today is Pat Delafield, and the topic is Introduction to Gold Dowsing. So Pat's been dowsing daily since 1980 and has taught dowsing for gold, water, and minerals. She also channels St. Germain and other master teachers to empower the individual with universal love. And so Pat told me that she's living in Linwood, Washington, and I understand that she's been dowsing for decades. So Pat, would you like to, you also told me you're from New York State, and tell us a little bit about how you got into dowsing, and especially dowsing for gold.
Thank you, Roxanne. Hopefully this will come together good without having some questions asked at the beginning. I actually was in the Coast Guard, and I was on my leave time. I had a couple of weeks, and I went to Anchorage, Alaska. And walking down the street one day in Anchorage, I met this pilot from Revolution Airlines, and I didn't know at the time that's what he did, but I asked him where I could get a good hamburger. He actually bought me the hamburger, and then asked me if I'd like to go with him to meet this man who was a multimillionaire bush pilot. I said, yep, let's do it. So we went to the hotel. The man took us up to his room on the 8th floor, and he had all of these little samples, witnesses of like the gold and lead and copper and silver lined up along. He had about like 20 of them lined up along one of the shelvings. And what he was a dowser. And he had the L rods, and he said he'd fly over these places in the bush in Alaska, and in the wintertime, and when the rods went down to land his plane on the snow and stake the property, would go back and would prove it up and then sell it. And that's what he did. So my first exposure to dowsing was a mineral dowser. So a couple of years went by. Of course, I got out of the military and went back to Alaska to live. And in 1970, I met a man who said that he was a shaman and wanted to introduce me to dowsing and, communication with spirit. And so we spent some time learning how to do that. And so I went ahead and just became a dowser right from then on. I never met another dowser, as I mentioned in my write-up, until 1985. So from 1970 until 1985, I just learned on my own. In 83, I met Rocky Miller, and he was a gold miner, a gold prospector in Alaska. I'm a psychic, and I was channeling at the time and doing psychic readings in the church where he came. And he asked me if I would channel for him about his mining operations. And there it was. He told me all about gold dowsing and how he gave me some nuggets. And it was on April 22nd of 1983 that he handed me these nuggets and I put them in my left hand. It was like electricity just shot through my arm and went all the way up to my head. And he gave me Christopher Bird's Divining Hand, the book that he wrote. And from that, I learned how to do the map dowsing. And so after I found the gold for Rocky and on his claims, he gave me a credit card, and he said, "Well, I'll teach you all you need to know," and he sent me off to all these different places, and including Japan and Greenland and all these tours and expeditions, and it was wonderful. I learned about gold dowsing, and he taught me as much as he could about gold and the frequency and the vibration of it because of my sensitivity. So that kind of set the stage. And so I spent some time in 5 years in Australia, and I did a lot of gold dowsing in the outback of Western Australia. Spent a couple of weeks at different times on explorations and expeditions, and actually have found several. I find the raw gold, so it has to kind of be in the ground for me to find it, and or to be sensitive to it. And so I did that in Australia. And funny thing is, the first when I first did anything with Australia was when Rocky had originally gave me his the map of the Tammany Channel. He told me that I should check Australia also, and I had this big map of Australia, and I just asked for the highest concentration of gold in Australia, and I got it in Western Australia. And actually, when I finally got there, I found out that there was a man, Lazarus, his name was Lazarus, and he was the one that found these sheets of amazing gold energies and deposits in the same place that I had found it on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, you can't go there. You know, it's like 30 below at night and 110 during the day.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, it's just impossible. But it was confirming for me, you know, to be able to find that and then discover that it was a real thing.
So you said that you're more sensitive when the ground is in the, when the gold is in the ground.
I know, yes. Yeah. The
That's
problem is then, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I've also read that 24 karat gold has a whole different frequency than like 12 karat, that once it's mixed with other metals, it has a whole different vibration. Have you found that?
When it's in the ground, it doesn't have that kind of, we don't call it 24 karat gold. You know,
Mm-hmm.
It's when it comes out of the ground and they actually process it.
I see. Do you call it raw gold or something else?
No, well, it's raw gold, but it's like 99 fine, FINE, is almost
Mm-hmm.
pure gold,
Mm-hmm.
and 86 fine is like gold that has a lot of other minerals or things mixed in with it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're actually looking for it, it's a language. You know, the gold industry has its own language,
Mm-hmm.
and so when I'm looking for gold, I'm looking for the highest concentration of gold, and which means that it's a lot of gold in one area. So
Mm-hmm.
the fine is the definition of the quality of the gold that's still in the ground.
Mm-hmm. How normally on the various places you've gone, how deep has the gold actually been?
How what?
How deep in the ground?
Oh well, when I asked for depth, Um, I haven't gone to like the mile, below the surface. Sometimes it's been, 20 feet to 60 feet. But, miners aren't really, prospecting miners, they don't have the equipment to go down that deep.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not like the television where, they have these big bulldozers and they go in and they show you, that's kind of a specialty. And, after you've made your money, you can start having that kind of stuff. But 20, 30 feet maybe
Mm-hmm.
beneath the surface. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
there's, let me just say this, there's both placer or alluvial, which is the free gold that has, just kind of floats through the ground underneath. And then there's the lode mining, which is the vein. There's,
how thick will the vein be? How long does it normally go? I mean, are these things that can go on for miles, or are they very short, concentrated little things?
Well, a vein, of course, could go on for quite a ways. But people, when I'm actually dowsing. Thank you for the question. When I'm actually dowsing an area, I'm dowsing a person's claims. So there's no value of knowing how far it goes.
I see.
If they only have a certain dimension, in their claims.
Mm-hmm. So they already have purchased the land as opposed to looking to acquire.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Now, when you've been involved in this, are you only locating where it is and then they hire other people to come in and actually get it out?
Well, there are some companies that do that. Like I think Boise is, I forget the full name of it, but in Boise, Idaho, there's a company called Boise that will come in after you have proved up your assays and proved your claim. Then they can come in and do the mining for you. Mm-hmm. And then you get a percentage of that.
So going back to your first experience where you were holding the gold, you said you found electricity going through your body. Is that what you said?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Yes, I put the nuggets in my left palm, and I do a lot of. I did a lot of healing, and a lot of. I'm channeling and doing a lot of psychic work, and so I'm used to experiencing energy, mm-hmm. but I wasn't used to experiencing gold energy. And that has been a special energy that's, and when I held the nugget in my hand, it was like that electric energy went through me. After that, I don't know if it was something I've had all my life, I have no idea, but after that, then when I was actually on the property and I was walking over the top of a gold vein, it would shoot that same kind of electrical energy through my body. Mm-hmm. So it's not something I can teach. Mm-hmm. I can teach the mechanics of finding gold, but I can't teach how to feel that energy.
That would be really useful to have that kind of physical readout, as well as having a dowsing tool.
It has been quite an adventure, yes.
Mm-hmm. So let's say if you're getting this type of reading from the walking over the land, I presume you start with map dowsing off the property and then go on site?
If I'm working for somebody, yes, I will do that. I will have the claims. I'll know exactly and then work with the map dowsing to find out if the gold is there. And then I have to go to the property mm-hmm. because I have to be able to feel it.
Mm-hmm. And then you would use the L rods like any water dowser would at that point, or what? I
had to actually learn to use the Y rods. Mm-hmm. I learned that actually in '85. I didn't think they'd ever work for me, but but I used a pendulum and the Y rods.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that was just to define and actually, as like I say, I hadn't been taught, so I only had the pendulum, and I learned the Y rod, the L rods, because of Chris Bird's books.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, but mostly just putting my foot down. As I was walking, I could feel like when I put my foot on the vein,
Mm-hmm.
I would get that charge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've read that gold has been used for physical healing throughout history. That it has it apparently helps with bringing, I believe, circulation into the area, and it's a warming sensation. I've read. How would you describe the sensations that you get?
For all of these 30 plus years I've been, having the energy, I don't know how to describe it. I was thinking about that today, and it was like if you were walking in a mist, like it's a misty day, or a fog, maybe
Mm-hmm.
more like fog. And if you could imagine feeling fog,
Mm-hmm.
it's just I can feel how it's like it's a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lost for words. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, so anyway, so with the map dowsing, I mapped out Australia before I went over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had gone over as on an invite, it was I had the credit card, I paid my own way, but on the invite of some miners that were here in Canada, actually in Vancouver, for a convention, a gold convention. So I met them and they invited me, so I went over there, and I was able to go and look at their own properties and feel the energies of it. But and then I went on an expedition that was 2 weeks, and we went all the way up to the northern parts of Australia, on the West Australia, Fitzroy Junction, and in that area. And oh my God, the energy was so clean and pure with gold energy. It was so beautiful. It's but only the people who knew where the gold was already was able to confirm that I was finding it for them. That I was legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise you just say, this is where your gold is, and unless they dig it, then they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I've read also that pure gold has a feeling of purity to it. And when you were saying how clean that area was, made me think of it.
Well, the consciousness, it's hard to put words into something that we only have words for. So when I say the consciousness of gold, I don't know how to explain that, but it's an energy and a frequency. And, you know what? It's, those new little zappers that they use, the police use to kind of sting people with?
Yes.
Those, I don't know what they're called right now. Yeah, the zapper. If you can tone that down a bit, it's kind of the feeling that I get in my head when I am over gold. Mm-hmm. It's kind of that kind of a zap.
Mm-hmm.
And it can actually throw my energy off enough to, make me unbalanced. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, that was years ago. I haven't been in the gold fields for a long time. Mm-hmm. But, just driving, I could be driving over the top of a gold vein, not knowing that it's there or anything about it, and I can feel that energy, which I've done a number of times in Australia, and asked them at the next town if there was a gold mine in the area, and they indicated it was just where I had come over the top of the vein.
I see. What a valuable gift to have that sensitivity.
Well, it is, but it's also a bit of a curse. Not a curse for me, it's just that I expect. I'm kind of an idealist, I expect people to be honest. I not only expect it, I just assume that people are honest, that when they say they'll do something, that's what they'll do. And that hasn't been the case with gold. So it's unfortunate, but it's also been a learning experience that I, value beyond words.
Well, we had talked privately before tonight on what you've noticed, how gold will bring certain things out, and they're not all positive. And I found on one website, they say that they talked about the positive and the negative aspects of gold. So, for example, exaltation, deep joy, illumination and wisdom, self-valuing. But on the flip side, it could be unworthiness. It can be worth or worthlessness. It can be alchemical transformation, as in turning base metal into gold, wealth at all levels. But on the other hand, it could be avarice and greed. It can be, there can be, unfortunately, irrational fears on terror, deep confusion, or self-doubt. Or it can be knowledge for surpassing intellect, being illumined. Purity, eternity, justice, enlightenment. It can be wisdoms and support, but when imbalanced, it's false modesty, self-righteousness, cheating, and deceit, which is what you mentioned. It can be desire, ecstasy, peace, comfort, trustworthiness, but when imbalanced, fear and nervousness. So it's interesting that, as you said, gold will bring out the inner tendencies of the individual, but you also said it's also partly by intent.
Let me answer it this way: is that gold is gold. It's like energy is energy. It's our interpretation of that, or our own particular karmic situation, our life experiences, our periods in our evolution that we grow towards the light. And if you have gold in its highest frequency, it's like the mana force. It's the energy of the gods. It's it's kind of like the food that feeds the highest frequency, and that's what the white gold powder was about in the ancient times. They would take raw gold and they would put it in this oven of 500 degrees or plus, and it would dissipate down to a monoatomic base, which was a white gold powder. And so that was fed to people, to create the genius and bring the superpowers. And, that's throughout history that's been available. And they're even doing it today somewhat with Ormus and other things that I'm not so familiar with. But the thing is that it doesn't itself bring out those qualities. Its qualities bring those things out of us. It's our own interpretation of that energy that's, beyond our understanding. That's really what I feel that my present mission is with gold, is that all those adverse effects, I call allergic reactions to it.
Can you talk more about that?
Yes, an allergy is our body's protective measure to keep us safe from something that's going to harm or kill us. And because of our ancient past experiences, we've all been through these things so many, many times in our evolution to today, that when we could have been the taskmaster, or we could have been the slave to it, or anything in between. But when we are around gold energies, our subconscious will, deeply bring us to the ancient understandings or misunderstandings. And we are reacting to that today. It might even surprise some people. They might not even be aware that their whole contingency changes, that their bodies change and their consciousness change, because it reverts back to those olden times. I've given lectures on gold frequencies for 25 years, and even today, if a person hasn't checked their energy level for the gold frequencies, they may, be out as a miner or a prospector, and they're looking and looking and looking, and they're not going to find it no matter what, just because their subconscious will steer them away from it. Their body will, to keep them safe.
So let me see if I understand you. You're saying, so let's say, for example, a person in the past abused money or abused people because of money, that they might help to keep their integrity by setting up this allergy to gold where they can't find it, for example.
Well, that may be, but I'm more concerned about the ones that have been taught that their exposure to gold or having gold will keep them from being accepted into heaven. All the churches that have tons and tons of gold, and then people are poor. I'm concerned more with the people that are denied in their own self, having, it's not money. Money is a different situation. It's the frequency of gold itself, because it's so powerful in godlike nature, that to touch it or be around it, you might want it. A lot of people want the gold; they want to have it, but when they touch it, there's or it's theirs. There's a fear of it, and it doesn't show up necessarily. It's just that when you have it, then you start losing things, like money or families or any kind of thing, any of the things that you mentioned.
So it becomes a curse.
It almost does, or maybe it had been in the past even. It's like if you're working, I know right now that there's people that are working in the diamond mines and the gold mines that, they're checked every time they leave the mine. They're stripped, or, they're constantly being checked, or x-rayed their bodies to see if they haven't swallowed any, so that it becomes like something that if you do this, then evil will happen to you. And so that becomes an allergy in kind of simple terms, meaning your body is going to save you from that. And so, it's transferred into people trying so hard to accomplish something, and it keeps being taken away from them.
How do you work on clearing that for them?
Well, the easiest thing is to, I use a TAT, TAPIS allergy technique.
Did you say EFT, emotional freedom technique?
No. TAT, TAPIS allergy.
Oh, TAPIS. Okay, Fleming.
Yes.
TAPIS Fleming.
Now,
okay.
I'm sure that tapping and other things would work, but TAPIS, TAPIS, is a woman. It was a woman.
TAPAS. Right. You take your two fingers put it on the crown and hold the back of the head.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Between the nose and the third eye. So you're, it's something to you know, I have a readout that Sandy Mack made up of a lecture that I gave, and so it's one that you can learn how to do it. It's simply written, and I can kind of email that to anybody who emails me. I'd be happy to send that technique to you. I think
so give your email.
Oh, it's dowser.gold at gmail.com.
All right. I believe Tapas Fleming's website is tat.com, TAT.com.
Okay.
And
yeah,
it is a very powerful technique. So that's great that you use that.
I learned that in 1999, and I've been using it ever since.
Do you do anything else to help people clear that allergy?
Well, I do, but I've done it personally, one-on-one. This is sometimes really phenomenal to discover people that are actually out there looking for gold, panning for gold, or looking for treasures. That if the body is allergic to these things, you might get it, but you lose it. There's tons of possibilities for. I'll tell you what happened. I think it was in 1990. It was in 89 or 90, and I was in Australia, and I was walking down the street, and I stopped, to cross the street, and these two spirits showed up in front of me, and told me that that my job, if I was willing to do it, was to help people reassimilate the gold consciousness for their bodies, for their lives, and I agreed. So I've been kind of doing that ever since, to help people to reestablish their energy fields with the gold energy.
Mm-hmm. And tell us more about how you do that.
Well, not only with the tapas, but talk about gold in ways that are productive and not destroying. I don't talk about greed. I don't talk about all those negative things that gold brings out in people, because whatever you put your attention into, of course, is what's going to happen to you. So I talk about the light and the frequency of that energy, and to bring ourselves in alignment and attunement to it. And certainly it would be really good to have gold around you, preferably raw gold. I don't know where you can get raw nuggets much anymore today, but I have a lot of them, so I'm good. I'm not selling them. I just, have the nuggets here.
Mm-hmm. Now, I believe that you can also meditate on gold, and I know that people use those meditations, some for clearing, some for smoothing your way, some for prosperity, but some on just improving situations in their life and solving problems. Can you talk anything about that?
I'm not really a meditator. I do a lot of contemplation and quiet thinking. You might think that's meditation, but to me, meditation is filling the body and sitting and going in and letting go, and just being in the energy. I think I kind of live in that most of the time. So I don't know how to say that supports a meditative state. But I do know that I know that people that are doing the same thing continuously, like meditating every day, or doing TAT every day, or dowsing every day, that your subconscious mind gets pretty acclimated to your desire to have what you are trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. Where, if a person goes into meditation tomorrow and so I'm just going to meditate on gold, it may not do anything at all. So it's retraining the subconscious mind, of which, you know, is where my expertise is in retraining the subconscious to align itself to an energy or to a process. So a ritual process. I have prayers that I use. I've been using the same prayers for 30 years. I do TAT, and I use the same verbiage, the same words, with whatever it is that I'm trying to break the cycle of the energy. I have a couple of other modalities that I use, and I teach them. You know, I'm really quite okay about teaching them, because I want people to have the experience of being able to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Are any of these short enough that you could lead us through something?
Actually, I don't know what you call short, you know, but I could.
Well, we have at least 20 minutes before we have to go into questions.
Okay, I'm going to.
Unless you feel there's something else that you want to talk about.
There is. Let me just a second. It's water I'm drinking. I would like to first just. I kind of do a ritual, and I thought maybe you'd like to hear that.
Sure.
And then, okay. So when I'm out looking for gold, it's when I'm asked to find the gold, I have to wait. I put it into my conscious and subconscious mind, and I call in my spiritual guides and teachers, but who I know by name, and our personal guides that I've known for a lot of years. And so I have to wait. And sometimes I have to wait like days, sometimes hours, you know, it's just, I wait until I get the contact from them that says, this is the time to do it. And that's when I, you know, like align myself to the energy, and we'll do the map dowsing. I'm going to assume that everybody knows about map dowsing. I do the map dowsing and ask to find the gold, the vein for the particular person that I'm working with. Usually that's pretty solid in getting the right thing at the right time. I know a lot of people seem to just sit down and they're able to clear their field right away and just douse and find whatever they're looking for. I wait until, because I'm connected to the spirit world, and they are really the ones that are showing me the way.
Mm-hmm.
There is something I'd like to have people try right now. If they have gold, if they don't have gold, just write the word gold down on a piece of paper and use a pendulum. Okay? And I'll go over this twice. But get your pendulum working in a clockwise direction over the top of the gold. And I am aligning myself with the highest gold frequency to cleanse and clear my aura from my core energy to the farthest reaches of the universe. And let the pendulum swing until you feel that energy working.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can you feel that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, so it's a matter of aligning yourself. So I'm aligning myself with the highest gold frequency. Now, the highest gold frequency, this is an interesting phenomena. You can go on the internet and ask for the highest producing gold mines on the planet, and it'll come up with 10 or 5. I did that today and found a couple in South Africa. I know where the ones are in Australia, and because that's where my energies are, and I know where there's some unfound gold frequencies in mining areas. non-mining areas in Alaska, you find one that is particularly suited to your energy field. So you map down, you ask for the most compatible with your own energy. And when you find that, so like for me, it's in Kalgoorlie, Western Australia. You take a picture of that. You can, do Google Earth and kind of take a picture and have it printed so that you have it in front of you. And then you can put the words on it. This is the highest gold frequency for my particular body energies. So that so you have a contact point of an energy that's already got a frequency that is compatible to you and is gold. And when you connect to that, it will open up your field to the frequency in a way that you may not have experienced so far.
All right, I'd like to go back to your the first affirmation. I'm aligning myself with the highest gold frequency. Would you repeat it?
Yes, I am aligning myself with the highest gold frequency.
Yes.
To cleanse and clear.
To cleanse and
my
clear.
Aura.
My aura.
Cleanse my aura from my core energy.
From my core
energy, which is that energy that runs up and down your spine, you know, the electrical current that goes out to all of your body.
Yes.
Okay, from my core energy to the farthest reaches of the universe.
Farthest reaches of the universe.
Reaches of the universe.
Okay.
So I'm aligning myself with the highest gold frequency to cleanse and clear my aura from my core energy to the farthest reaches of the universe. So this will align your energies, and you let that pendulum swing until it's done. And you be sure that it's over even, the picture that you've just been able to download, or just the word gold, or gold that you have in the house.
Now, I know some people put gold in a chamber pendulum and then spin it to spin the highest frequency of gold. Do you do that? And if so, would this affirmation be good for that as well?
Well, you have a witness, and it doesn't matter whether the witness is hanging from your pendulum or if it's something that you're holding in your hand. It is a witness, and it's in the energy field that you're already in. So you created the energy field, so it doesn't matter where that gold is sitting. It's great. Well, actually, let me rephrase this. I absolutely know for sure that if you believe or know within your heart that something is supposed to be a certain way, it is that way for you. So I can't say that this is right or this is right or this is wrong and this is right. I can't do that, because you will know within yourself your own energies. And I've taught dowsing every place I've been on the planet. I've taught people how to dowse, and some come with an open mind and wanting to learn, and others have already these ideas about how to do it, and that's just fine, because the dowsing system works because it works. It's not because I tell you what to do or how to do it.
So can you then use this highest gold frequency to clear issues, you mentioned clearing your aura, but can it also clear issues and other things?
Well, you can try it. You can try it. Why not? Yeah.
All right.
It's like the energy of gold for healing. If that was true for me, I certainly wouldn't be walking around with a cane and having pain in my body all the time. I know that there's some glitch someplace that is causing this to happen, and I am open to suggestions. I'm open to healing. I just know that for the last 10 or 15 years, I'm getting adjusted, and acupuncture and physical therapy, and it's just you know, a 3-day event, and then I have to go back and get something else done. You know, so, and I've got tons of gold around, and I've been, you know, using it for healing, and you know, I'm still in the same condition. Well, I'm a lot better.
Well,
So,
one of the things I read, and then you can tell me if you've already done this, was a person who uses a meditation of gold, creates a gold ball, and then breathes in this gold energy and directs it to a spot of the body that's not comfortable, and just breathes in and out this gold frequency until their whole body is filled with gold, and then it goes out in the aura. And then another visualization that the same person uses is to write the issue or problem down on paper and hold it in the hand, and then bring the vibration of gold into the problem that's now on paper. That's similar to a Reiki drawing exercise using distant healing symbols.
when I was in Vermont, excuse me, not Vermont, I'm sorry. When I was in Virginia City in Montana, it's a highly producing, high energy gold frequency area. And I would be there for like a week sometimes, or 2 weeks, because we were doing some projects there for finding gold and working. We were actually working the plains, but I was out, you know, walking in the mountains all the time. And the energy of the gold was so strong that it was like, you know, frying my brain. It was just so much energy. So I think that the person that's doing the gold, like you're saying, doesn't feel it, you know, like I would be feeling it. Because I think the frequency of that gold may be the reason that I'm in the condition that I'm in.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So I'm wondering, have you noticed a difference of when you're in those gold areas and when you're not? Do you feel physically different? Is your health different? Do you walk different?
Well, I've always been pretty healthy. You know, I don't have a problem with you know, blood pressure, anything like that. I'm really healthy, and I'm old. You know, so I will tell you this. When I was in Western Australia and out in the Pilbara Ranges, it was a mountain range out in Western Australia in the middle, high middle part. When I had to walk up mountains, you know, where they look like mountains, you know, and if in pyrites, you know, or you know, a lot of iron, you know, because it's red. When I was walking up those mountains, it was like took every bit of energy. It was just wearing me down. I was exhausted. When I was walking up the same mountains area, but the gold was in the ground, I could sprint up those mountains.
So when you're around, the gold actually gave you more energy.
It gave me a ton of energy, yes.
Oh, maybe you have to relocate.
I think that's a good idea. Anybody out there wants some gold houses living close to you? Yeah. But it's pretty exciting, you know. When I don't know what it's like for people once they have acclimated their bodies to not have that gold be an allergy. It's not like people that can't wear gold, you know, because it makes their body funny or anything. It's not that kind of allergy. It's an allergy to the frequency itself. It needs to be calmed. And I'm sure that there are a lot of techniques that people know how to do to, you know, shift the allergies of food and you know, frequencies that are in the air that are really hard for us. I've been studying it for such a long time that I just think there's a lot of different ways of doing this, and there's no reason that TAT has to be the only way.
Okay, so anyone on the call could ask him, for example, do I have an allergy to gold, yes or no?
Right. Usually what I do is I muscle test. At all of the lectures that I have done, I want to muscle test every person that wants it. I don't just do one and have them clear it. I test everybody because I've had more, I'd say that of all the, hundreds of people that I've done, I'd say maybe 4 people that I've met entirely in hundreds that have not had an allergy to gold.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if I understand, so some of the things that can cause an allergy would be abuse of money or people because of gold, or religious upbringing that said rich people, are bad, or an experience like working in a gold mine where they're punished or put through fears of abuse if they take it home or have it. Are there other things that cause allergies to gold that you didn't mention yet?
Oh, I can't say. I don't know. But if for me, as for the work that I do, I'm really connected to the spirit world, that if I give them excuses or give them other reasons, then that I don't see that. My job is to clear the energy, not to discover what that energy is.
Okay.
I want to keep my mind clear to channel the light and to channel that pure energy. Channel it. It doesn't mean that I don't get caught in my own stuff, but channel through that energy to open up the field rather than giving reasons why.
Sure.
More stuff to think about.
Okay, so how have you noticed people shift or change after you clear that?
Well, on the spot, I have seen people's faces just glow, literally glow. It's been remarkable. Not everybody, but most of them. It's so funny because some men, especially, because they're absolutely sure there's no allergy there, and I'll muscle test them because that's what I do. Is I muscle test and they have the gold in their hand, and when they're weak, of course, the look is incredulous. It's like, how can this be? And then when they're strong, it's just the opposite. They are just glowing, and that's what we should be doing with the light. The light of the energies that are these high frequencies. We should be smiling and happy. We should be filled with knowing that love is what we are. Mm-hmm. And I think
so if they
frequency
take
of gold.
So if they either read your handout on the tapas, or if they go to the website and notice the finger positions and holding the back of the head, what would they be saying or thinking to help themselves clear?
Well, I learned, as most people do, I'm sure, hope, is that you learn a process and then you make it your own by giving your own words to it. Mm-hmm. So you on the hand that goes onto the neck, and the back of the neck, you write down on your hand with writing. You don't have to put it in ink, but you can put it on a piece of paper. You just write the word gold, and you put it on your back of your neck. And I can send this to people that email me or you. It doesn't matter, but I will. Because I don't need to repeat it a lot until you get it. But I just say, hold that energy and then close the eyes and talk to the self. We're not talking to God. We're not talking to the guides. We're not asking for healing or anything. We're talking to our own body and our own subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. Thank you for protecting me from gold all of these years and maybe centuries. Thank you for keeping me safe from the vibration and the frequency of gold. But the time has come, with my present understanding, that it's time to release these old patterns of thought and to bring a new light and new energy of what gold really is. And then you talk to your body and you say, release this energy. Now you can take it out and throw it into a fire. I usually like to have a big fire because that way all that energy will be transferred to white gold. Why not? So we throw that, you literally in your mind see the energy leaving your body and burning in that fire to where it's gone.
I'd like you to send me the handout, and then others can, of course, email you themselves. But from the handout I get, I can put it on
what I'll do, because Sandy made it, I'll just redo it with my own words and
perfect.
Saying that
That's
way.
perfect.
I'd have to use hers.
Yeah, I do remember attending a workshop with Sandy where she said something similar. Excellent. That's really good. I think everyone would benefit. Now, we're getting close to the time we need to open it for questions. So before I do, I want you to again say your contact information.
Tat Delafield, and it's Dowser, DOWSER gold. Excuse me, I have .water also. You can either one of them, but so Dowser.gold @gmail.com. Energy Dowsers I'm the president of our local chapter, is also online. I haven't updated that for a long time, so it might be something you can look at once, and hopefully I'll get to it. EnergyDowsers.org.
Okay, so now if anyone has a question, rather than unmute everyone and have background noise, I'm going to ask anyone who wants to speak, hit *6 and start speaking. Who has a question for Pat? Hit *6 and then start speaking.
Pat, have you written a book?
No, I haven't, but I've been suggested that I should. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's a great suggestion. Anyone else? Does anyone else have a question?
Pat, are you able to differentiate between gold, silver, copper, iron, and other minerals?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, but, whatever. Well, of course, if I'm doing silver, I would prefer holding silver in my hand as witness. Do you remember when I said that the guy that I first met was a dowser? And he had all of the witnesses. He had like 20 different, silver and copper and gold and lead and all of that. He had that all lined up. So whatever he had in his hand, so he had a copper penny, it would go down over the copper. If he had gold in his hand, it would go down over the gold. So I learned right from the get-go that whatever you got in your hand or your mind is what is going to find what you're looking for. But
I guess could you put the word of the mineral that you're looking for in your hand then?
Possibly. I like the raw, mineral. And the thing is the gold is the only one that I feel. I also feel oil, so I can go over an oil field and I would know that there's oil there. And I have had some sensation with sapphires because I've been around sapphire mines in Australia and in Montana. So I have a sensation for sapphire. So I'm just learning, in platinum also, there's a sensation there for that.
Interesting.
So it hits different parts of my head, yeah.
Does anyone else have a question for Pat?
Yeah, I have a question about the veins. When you were talking earlier about the gold veins, when you find a gold vein, let's take Mountain Pass or Needles Bakers, there's a lot of mines out there. And the thing is, when you're looking for a cavern, all right, would you be finding a vein going down before you get to the cavern on the walls?
Oh, that I can't tell you. I don't know. I know that if it's a canyon, then it more than likely what you'll find is placer, the nuggets, because the nuggets are actually falling off from the vein and over the centuries, you know, and that's usually what they find in the streams is just the nuggets.
Okay. What was the two things you said before? There was something about asking the question. One was, what was that one? There was three things. There about the nuggets, the floating ones, how you would ask the question if it's that one. How did you ask that question?
I didn't get the first part of that. What was that?
The question is how you find out the mixture. Like you got load mining, the loading mining.
Is
right,
is
you had
vein.
two things before that. Do you remember or not? Or maybe I should email you.
Yeah, why don't you email me? That way I'll be able
do that.
to
And
be
then
more
somebody else can ask
specific.
the question. Thank you very much for coming to the meeting tonight. It was quite interesting.
Does anyone else
you.
have a question?
Now I'm going to mute myself.
Does anyone else have a question? Hit *6 and speak. Does anyone else have a question? Hit *6 and speak.
Pat, is there a way of, is there an instruction process for learning how to become a mineral dowser?
Instructions. Well, you know, you could get hit by a couple of cars. That's what helped me.
Yeah, I would prefer a different approach.
Yeah, I think so.
Being hit with a gold brick?
Yeah, try a gold brick, yeah, or get electrocuted. That might work too. There, you know, the thing is that you can practice and practice and practice, and you know, I was, you know, even when I first started my journey as a psychic or as a mental intuitive or you know, a channel even, is I would watch, you know, I went to a church that's what they did, and I'd watch them and they'd say things, and I'd say, well, I don't see anybody standing there, and they'd say, well, I see your master standing beside you. I don't see it. So after, you know, taking classes and learning how to do a lot of things, now it's natural for me. So I think that if you practice by you have to have the real stuff, you know, raw gold. I've been asked so many times, I've gone on expeditions to Greece and parts of Australia, treasure hunting. And I tell people I'm not a treasure hunter, and they still take me off on these little trips. It's just fine with me. So if you practice by, you know, having the gold and having the different minerals that you're looking for, and then have a friend or your partner, have them hide it so you don't know where it is, and you can start looking for it, or have them hide it under the ground or something. And so that you, of course, they'd have to know where it was.
Exactly, because you want it back.
You want it back, yeah. But through these practices, you know, you can accomplish anything. You know, the difference between a child prodigy piano player and you know, a classic piano player that just wanted to do it may be a slight difference in the finished product, but it's still the same. You know, there's this you know, your desire to know something. The universe runs to your side to help you. I've known that all of my born days.
Mm. Does anyone else have a question for Pat? Hit *6. Go ahead.
Could you spell that TAT again?
TAT. And if you don't see that, it's T as in Thomas, A as in Apple, T as in Thomas. And if you could also look up TAPIS, TAP as in Peter, AS, Fleming, FLEMING, and you'll find it on the internet.
And you said it was tats.com?
I think so. And they're on her site, and it's very similar to the emotional freedom technique. If you go to her site, she has an instructional video.
And her site again was, let me find it.
I think it's TAT.com, but I can't look it up or I'll lose the monitoring screen.
Sure. And then there's energydowsers.com.
.org, O-R-G.
.org. Thank you.
Yes, energydowsers.org.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Does anyone else have a question for Pat? Hit *6.
Hi, I just wanted to say it's called Tapas Acupressure Technique. That's why it's called TAT. And it is
acupressure.
Oh. So you can look that up.
Allergy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sure. I missed the beginning of the call, but what you're saying is fascinating. I do a lot. I connect with my guides, I guess you could say, using muscle testing, or I call it just body dowsing. And,
yes.
one thing I do is I do make a statement and test that as yes or no instead of asking a question. I find that I get a stronger answer, you know. Let's see if I can think of an example, but I don't know. My name is Marielle versus is my name Marielle, yes or no, you know. And I was curious if, you know, because you're so attuned to gold, does gold show up in your life in other ways than just trying to find the raw material itself? Thank you.
Well, I certainly have lost my gold in my house, and have, you know, I'll walk through the house and as though I'm map dowsing, and I'm just holding it. So when I'm walking past the lineup of the energies, I will sometimes get a response, and I don't believe it, of course, and keep going and keep looking. I ask which room it's in and stuff, and but I always find it. There's Abbott. Is it Abbott? What is that man's name? Mermaid. I've never said it out loud, but he's the. You can find he's the one that kind of mesmerism came from him, and he's got a system for defining the different minerals. So gold has a east-west or north-south and energy, and it will show you that when you're looking for something. So he's been able to find all kinds of things, and I think his book is online. I've got a copy of it here, but I think they're still may be available. Also, if you're interested, just let me know, and I'll email you the title of the book and the author.
Yeah, why don't you include that in the email to me, and I'll put it on the American Society of Dowsers has a Facebook page that's public, and I will be happy to put any of this information on there. Also, Dowsers West Coast, so that people that are on the call, or I could put it in a PDF and have it sent out with the next announcement. And while we're talking about next meetings, I want to mention that on April 9th, as part of the Discover Dowsing series, that I'm going to be talking along with Margaret Van Lan Martin on Dowsing on Habits. That's April 9th. And on April 16th, for the Discover Dowsing series, Ellen Kami from New York and also Florida is going to be talking on dowsing and herbs, 5G, and EMFs. And as I mentioned before, the annual Dowsers Conference is going to be held at Plymouth State College in Plymouth, New Hampshire, June 26th to 30th. Now, does anyone else have a question for Pat? Does anyone else have a question for Pat? Start speaking. Hit *6 and then speak.
Could you please include the title of that book with the handout? For people
yes,
who
yes.
email.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else have a question? Hit *6 to speak. Anyone else? Well, once more, Pat, I want to thank you very much for agreeing to be on the call, and I so look forward to seeing you again whenever that is. Pat has been an active member over at the West Coast Conference, which is every 2 years in Santa Cruz, California, and the next one will be 2020. Did I hear somebody else had a quick question? All right, if not, I'm going to say thank you so much, Pat. Any final words?
Yes. I'm reading this from something I got on the internet, which I'd like to read. Is the secret white powdered gold, for which has become quite literally a vessel of the light of life. It can bestow powers of immortality, of supernatural powers to people who consume it. And because of that, certainly we're not going to buy it to eat it, but we can douse it and bring that energy into our energy fields and bring our light in the deepest ways that we try so hard to be light and to be the love of God and the energy, and this will activate that and ask that it be activated in the consciousness of what we are and what we will become. I'm very excited about sharing that with you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to say good night all. I'm going to stop the recording, and that